Hello again, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. In this video, I'm going to be focusing on Yuri. Yuri is going to be the new marksman that is going to be joining the game here this weekend. She will have dual faction designation from the Nightmare Council and to the Star Piercers. This marksman will complement Hatsu in the Nightmare Council. So as you can see here, she is labeled as being able to do single target damage and then multi-strike attacks. For this video, I'm going to be focusing primarily on the single target because we are just doing the testing here on Drake's Chasm. This is essentially what I just want to get an idea of how much damage she can do once we fully awaken her and we give her the proper gear necessary to test that. All right, eventually down the line we'll come and test a multi-strike attack. We'll look at arena and hopefully GVG. I am trying to team up with another content creator to see how she behaves in GVG here in the test server, so we can kind of get an idea of how that multi-strike feature actually works. Okay, let's talk about her attributes. So first, I want to look at her base. So let me go back to the A0 Yuri here so we can look at her base stats. So you can see her base attack is 3725, which is on par to some of the other heroes that we have in the game. Her cost is 12. Her road deployment time is the same as all the other ones. It takes 60 seconds if you just happen to withdraw her. Her attack interval starts at 2. Once you start getting gear, you can bring that down. But then everything else is pretty standard about the hero in terms of her base stats. Nothing really crazy with the rage region. Her basic attack gives her 10. When she's attacking, she gets 6, and then the auto is 14. So nothing else really there. She has decent HP, low defense for a marksman. But if we were to compare, especially let's do a quick comparison here just to get an idea. So once we get her to A5, she does go to 4025. She gains the 300 from the A2. So if we look at somebody like Ioba here, who is a lord, with that 4555. If we look at somebody like Calypso with an OG, 4008, so kind of on par. Sutram, another OG, he's at 5000, so he's a little bit high. How about Hex? 4197. So she doesn't fall too much. She doesn't have too much. She's not really one of the low end, so she's right in the happy medium, so perfect for that. So we just have to look at her multipliers. That's essentially what we're going to be testing to see how much damage she can do after that. Let's go over her skills really quick. Everything really surrounds around the talent, as it is with many heroes in the game. After every 5 basic attacks, she will trigger a chaos orb. You can kind of see this in the animation because you see this these orbs come out of her, and then they will just go and target the dragon in Drake's Chasm. So when it comes to single target. Now, based on the wording here, when there are multiple enemies within her attack range, that becomes random. So these 6 hits will just be at random targets within her range. All right. So this chaos orb that is triggered deals 60% damage to the target, and then again any surrounding enemies. Then they will deal 50% damage 6 times to random targets in range, deals 20% increased damage to airborne units. So this part here we can test. This is where we want to see how it tests in GVG and in arena, but I'll leave that for a separate video so we don't make this one too long. Let's look at her basic attack. You can see here she deals 60% damage 2 times to random enemies in range, prioritizing airborne units. It is 4x3 grid, so 3 spread out, 4, and then if you make her a piercer, you're gain that extra range, the 1 tile range, so it becomes a 5x3 grid. Okay, so then she has 2 passives. So every time the talent or the ultimate triggers, she inflicts defense reductions on a target, and this will last for 5 seconds. She also has the other passive, the seductive glance. Each time the talent is triggered, it increases attack by 10%, excuse me, stacking up to 4 times. And when this reaches its max stacks, then it resets after 20 seconds. So you have 20 seconds of max stacks to then do the damage, and then it'll reset, and then you build this back up based on how many times the talent triggers. Her ultimate is called the Needle of Torment. So it has a very, very big range. Look at this range here. So it just increases her range by one tile in each side for 3 tiles, essentially is what it is. So her grid becomes really big. You can kind of see that her ultimate does charge back really quick, 700. Initially you only need 500. It lasts for 10 seconds, but within this range here, she will deal 5 hits, 75% damage per second to one enemy in range. So when this target then dies during that skill, it gains 5% range and then targets one other enemy near the fallen target. Okay, in Drake's Chasm, this is not, it's not, that extra hit is not going to be applicable because he's just dealing damage to the dragon, and of course he will not die. So we're just going to get that 5 hits at 75% damage there. What's unique about her is that she does have a bond skill. She does, her bond is going to be with Kigiri. So if you go read the lore in the gallery, you'll find out that these two are essentially a couple. And so if you did happen to get Kigiri during his event and you add her, she will automatically come in with this effect, which is that the chaos orb triggered by the talent deals 100% increased damage to the main target. So you're getting more damage after that. And then after she deals the damage, she restores 10% HP to 2 friendly units within that 3 tile of the chaos orb. So if you have, yeah, so essentially she's healing people is what it's doing. It's like a life steal effect, but she will not heal herself. So that she will not get any her HP will not be restored by this effect. She's essentially just helping all the others around her. So she gains damage and she gains the ability to help her allies in terms of remaining alive. So that's exactly what that talent does. Now, looking at her awakenings, really the sweet spot is A3. Okay, in her A1, when she deals damage, there's now a 10% chance that she inflicts stun on the target. So if you decide to bring her into the Titanic ruins, you'll have a way to manage the chainsaw mode and at least add some damage reduction stacks in that boss battle. For Awaken 2, she gains 300 attack to her base. Here is where I was saying this is the sweet spot for her to gain extra damage. Is her A3. If you get her to A3, her damage increases based on the number of targets within her basic attack range. So as the number of enemies reduces, the damage increase can then range from 8% to 40%. Okay, so when it comes to a boss like in Drake's Chasm or Titanic Ruins, we're actually getting a 40% damage increase. Her Awaken 4, we get extra penetration, 8%, and then her 5th Awakening, essentially what it does, it just allows her to survive a little bit longer, especially in battles where there's a lot of AoE damage. So it reduces the AoE damage taken by 50%. This effect can be triggered up to 1 time every 20 seconds. So when Samura's dealing those slams or she comes in with the chainsaw, they're kind of spaced up around that time range. So it does allow, this awakening does allow her to try to survive each one of those slams if at all possible. And then, it allows her to remain on the field a little bit longer during that battle. So that's essentially what her awakening is in. The A3 is the one where you can really see the increase in damage potential. If you have seen other videos where I showcase heroes, especially those that deal damage, this is one way that I like to really initially get them tested, just to get an idea of how much damage they can do by themselves and which set is possibly going to be the best one to use for this particular hero. So essentially what I do is that I bring him in with somebody like Hollow and Carnelian, because of course Hollow will heal and also boost rage. And Carnelian, she's just here to provide us with the soul essence so we can survive the blast that we get from the boss. And then the heroes can survive the battle and they can just go ahead and do the damage that they do. And then we can then assess how well how well they do with the particular sets that I'm testing. So for here, just to you can get a general idea of how the animation works, especially with this chaos orb. So you can see then every 5 attacks she does this jump, and then you see that orb being released, and then you see all those little procs here on the, you see all those numbers pop up there. So let me go back here to this view, so then you can see her jump, and then you have all those little procs, right? All those hits going to the boss there. So, and now here she's doing her ultimate, so then she's just multi-striking those random hits, or yeah, she's just dealing multi-strike to the box here, and she is doing some decent damage here. So because of how I then collected the data, we're going to come back here to my spreadsheet, and then I can show you exactly all the data that I collected and give you a general idea of how everything worked out once I started switching her and putting her in the different sets. All right, so here, the first test that I did is I did team her up with Torador. So the first couple tests, especially when it came to the sets that I was testing, I just picked Torador. I brought her in. I tried to get that speed boosted, and then I just tested all the sets in the same manner, just to give me an idea. So here on the right-hand side of the sheet, I'm gonna display the stats for each one of the sets that I use. So you can see here the Infernal. This is the total attack that I got at the end once I put all the sets together. And then I had other sets together where I can then compare. And also because of this, I try to keep the attack as close as possible to the original one, the speeds, the rage regeneration, and the critical damage. So you can here see with Soulbound, we got to about 16.8, 397 speed, 349 critical damage. With the Cataclysm that I tested, there's no exclusives, there's no boost, it's just a straight Cataclysm set, 16,121 attack, 399 speed, 342 critical damage, 24 rage regeneration. With the Cataclysm with the exclusive, so this here was the exclusive with the Nightmare Council, which has a 5% chance to give her the ability to do an extra basic attack. So with that, if that procs, then it gets her to go to the talent a lot quicker, right? And then an extra basic attack, also you're building rage a little bit quicker as well. So that turned out to be 16,000 attack again, with 383 speed, a little bit less, a little bit more critical damage, 343. And then I also had an ageless set because, hey, why not? Let's just test to see how it goes. So you can kind of then see the attack range, the speed, and the critical damage, or the attack and the speed is about the same. The critical damage is of course elevated because we gain 30% just from wearing the set. All right, so what exactly did I learn? What set does she do the most damage with? So being a marksman, you would think, okay, maybe the Infernal Roar set is probably going to be the best for her. So this is the baseline. That's what we're going to get. 5,073 when I did my run with her, which runs about 42,000 damage. So this was about consistent. It was 5,000 to 5,100. It's right there in that happy range, especially how I had to build. And this is an A0 Yuri, right? All right, so now let me bring in the next one, which is Soulbound Arcana. So with Soulbound Arcana, we can now see a drastic difference in the damage that she's doing. So a lot of her damage is coming from her ultimate. So then, of course, as she does the more ultimates, she's going to be dealing more damage. So this is scaled properly, and you can see here now 6583, 57,000 damage when it came to the total. So very, I think that for everything that we're going to do with her, I'm just going to put her in a Soulbound Arcana set. So now let me show you here the Cataclysm set. So with the Cataclysm set, we kind of came to par with Soulbound Arcana, but it wasn't as efficient, but it was better than Infernal Roar. So 5916, 51,000 damage. Then when I added that basic, the Nightmare Council's exclusive, which gave the ability to do an extra basic attack, 5%. Now we can see the boost in damage a little bit. Now we're getting closer to Soulbound Arcana. But then again, Soulbound Arcana, the T2 set is still the best one here to use and try to do any damage comparison. Unfortunately, Ageless fell behind. It's on par with Infernal Roar. So for the purposes of any testing that I did here with her, I'm just going to leave her on the Soulbound Arcana set so I can then get a general sense as to how she's behaving when she is being teamed up with other lords besides Toreador. So here again, I'm getting a base for a team up with Toreador. Now remember, Toreador's Lord bonus gives him or gives your allies, your Nightmare Council allies, the ability to do more basic, to trigger more basic attacks. So that's essentially there where that baseline damage comes in. So we did 6,500 blood, 57,000 damage when that translates. So the other lord that I tried out is because he is coming into the game is going to be Rygar. So Rygar, on the other hand, so I gotta go back to the game here. So remember, as I was telling you, with Toreador, the faction team member's basic attack has a 30% chance of landing an extra hit. So that's where she gained the extra. She's then gaining extra rage. She's coming to her ultimate a little quicker, and she actually is proccing her talent more frequently. So this is what Toreador allows her to give her. Now, Rygar is coming into the game, as I said. So what is her his lore bonus giving us? Well, it actually depends on him using his ultimate. Okay, so when this ultimate is triggered, the faction team members gains buffs. Basic attack damage increases by 25%, and then each basic attack restores HP. So it's a life steal mechanism going on in here when he is the Lord. Okay, so now let me go back to my sheet, because this does make a difference on the amount of damage that she was able to do. So we lost some damage, we lost some blood, we lost about 400 blood. So you can see that the damage came down to 53. Now this is just him being part of the team. All right, he's not on the field. So then that's what I made sure that then I would bring him in. And not only that, what I did is that I left him ungeared, but he was able to trigger his ultimates. So as he was triggering his ultimates, then it led to then the boost in damage that it says on the skill for Yuri. When that did happen, we did gain some of the blood back, and we did some more damage at the end. But unfortunately, we did not come to what Toreador was capable of giving her, with the fact that she was doing an additional basic attack. So then that talent was triggering more often. So based on what I learned here, if I'm going to team her up with the Lord of the Nightmare, I'm more inclined to tie her to Toreador, just to get that extra boost in damage. All right, I think that with Rygar, we're just going to be depending on him adding the damage that we're possibly losing from all the other allies. And then because Toreador, I mean, come on, let's be honest, he's not doing a whole lot of damage. Well, there are other lords that we can team her up with, so that's exactly what I did. I brought on Aracha. So with Aracha on her test, I made sure that I put her at the pack tile, right? So she then got that boost based on the distance from the dragon. We got her to 6825 blood, which is 60,000 damage. So then when I team her up with Iobar, which he needs to be deployed, right? And then over time, she then stacks up the ability to do damage. I think it's 15% that it eventually stacks to. Now we're getting the additional blood. Now we get up to 7,000. And now we're doing 62. So from everything that I saw and everything that I learned about how she's interacting with each one of the lords, the greater boost that she's getting is from the piercers, and it looks like Iobar is the proper team up here to do that. Now, in the other sections that I was telling you about her awakenings, I said A3 is the sweet spot. So that's exactly what I did. I awakened her to A3. I then did my test with the Iobar, and just to get that increase from A0 to A3, to get that additional damage, that 40%, boom, blood, we got it up to 9,000 and 82,000 on her. Phenomenal. phenomenal the amount of damage that now she can do with her A3. And then her A5, it doesn't really change, right? She's not gaining any damage from it. So that's just kind of a proof there of how those awakenings are working. So if you want to optimize the damage that you need from her, you want to get her to A3. So her survivability increases once you get her to A5. Now here is my setup, the initial ones that I tested. So as you can see here where all the check marks are and everything is clouded. Again, this is just, let's get wild with all A5s. So essentially Arrogance, Kigiri here, Volca, Iobar, and even Yuri are all A5 alongside here with Rygar. So Rygar here is going to be a lord for this example. And so I am going to actually let this play so we can kind of see the run. All right. So as I go here into the playtest, we will go ahead and let this load. So everybody, all of the support heroes have the invigoration sets. So we're not working with Wind of Grace sets here. We want it all on par, right? So for this demonstration, it's all Laya, Laurel, Hollow. They all have invigoration sets, all right? So here I'm just setting up the board, trying to get everybody invigorated that needed to be invigorated, and then just do the run. That's essentially what everything turned out to be. But again, here we just wanted to see how much damage Yuri could do, being associated in this case with a Nightmare Lord. And then at the tail end of the run here, I'm going to show you how she came out with Iobar being the Lord. So here you can kind of see how the runs are set up, how I'm running the runs, and I'm cycling in Laya and Laura and Volca. So that cycle is occurring there. So I'm going to let this go a little bit. Right, so we fast forward the run a little bit just to save you a little bit of time. But in the end, after all is said and done, the amount of damage that we were able to do with Yuri in this run was a decent 137k. So, hey, number one, she's not breaking the game. All right, so that's apparent here. With the bond that she got with Kigiri, which allows her to do additional damage, then you can see here that she can come up to par. She's not really matching an Arrogance A5, and of course Kigiri does Kigiri things, right? And then here we have Iobar here. I don't know if I did scroll down, but Iobar damage was around 98,000 if I recall correctly. So definitely she can do a little bit of damage. She is going to be providing a boost. Not only that, if you use her for Semra, you're going to be able to at least contend with the chainsaw mode a little bit much easier, and you're also getting extra survivability if you can get to A5. So definitely her kit allows her to do multiple facets with boss battles, especially like this one here. But again, she is not one of the more powerful marksmen in the game. She is right on par with some of the heroes that we have in the game. So no, she's not. I don't see her as breaking the game at all. All right, so here in this run here, as you can see by the designation here, I'm making her a piercer. So that's essentially what I'm going to set up here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to force forward a little bit. Let's get to about, yeah, let's just go to about 45 seconds here, because you already had a kind of idea of how I did the run. All right. But here is, Yuri with the piercer designation. So essentially she's benefiting from Iovar's Lord skill. So she's getting extra damage. She's getting a damage boost from that. And of course, if you don't have Iovar, but if you bring in a Racha, you want to make sure that you take the opportunity from a Racha skill and try to put her as far back as you can in the positioning here. Because the more tiles away she is from the boss, the more damage she will do. Okay. So here we go again. So you can kind of see that positioning that she takes with her ult, like that sniper type position, and her tail end kind of opens up. Looks like a blossoming flower. So with all of that, with that 97,000 blood, with the whole combination, but what did she do? Being part of the piercer. So in this instance here, I got her up to 152,000. So this was kind of the happy range that I found with her in terms of being an A5 tied up to a piercer lord. So yes, based on the initial test that I did, I'm comfortable saying that she will do more damage being tied to a piercer lord than a nightmare. So, and it being a part of the nightmare comp, she will just complement all the other nightmare heroes that you have, especially if you team her up with somebody like Kigiri. If you have Kigiri and you want to bring her in, you team him up with the nightmare console. But if you if you have a piercer team, she will definitely complement that team, especially if you have Kigiri bonded. You're gonna get extra damage from that. So she is a phenomenal. She's not an overpowered hero. She is going to be a great hero. She's not going to break the game. You'll get some decent damage out of her. So if you want to go for her, because you'll then tie her up to Kigiri, especially if you did take advantage of getting that limited hero into your account. So that'll do it for this video, folks. This is a single target damage showcase. Again, like I said, I am going to try to see what I can do to try to showcase her when we're talking about multiple enemies. But for that, I think we need more of a PvP showcase to truly see what she can do in that regard. All right. Thank you all very much for tuning in and watching. Please do remember to hit like and subscribe if you did appreciate the content of this video, and I will see you all in the next Watch Our Realms video.